we're back.
Yay!
Together again.
Yes.
I'm grateful and thankful.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I don't like doing it by myself. And I know that's how you feel too. You would rather have your partner in crime, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Our partner in word, I guess I should have said.
And we build on each other with what we're talking about. So it's very nice.
Yeah.
But I think you did a good job getting across what God wanted you to
last
week.
I really, that the Lord's Supper is what we do now. And so I know we're going to be celebrating. I think we do that this year again on Easter. I think we do. So, hey, just put a plug in for Easter, right? We have Easter sunrise service, and we have Easter breakfast and Easter regular service. So come on down if you don't have a place to go.
Yes. Be happy to have you. But yeah, and it's crazy that it's not next week.
I know. We only have 2 weeks.
Yeah, it's
2 weeks. Yeah.
Oh
what
is
goodness. It, the 9th?
Yes,
or the
9th.
9th. Yeah. So, so I'm thinking, today we're talking about lots of things, and it's hard to get everything in that we really want to talk. Yes. I mean, there's so much to, today is the garden to the cross.
Garden to
the cross. Garden to the cross. And there is a lot in that, but we're going to try to pull out some highlights for you. And one of the things that we thought about in the midst of it, we were trying to think of a word or something that kind of would help us to get us going here, know?
Yeah.
And our word was
fear.
Fear.
Yeah. It's a great word, right? But, because we go right into Jesus in the garden, and we'll talk more about that, but, he, as much as he knows he needs to do what he has to do, he didn't want to have to go through suffering. Why, you wouldn't want to have to go through suffering.
If you know what's before you, I don't know about you, but fear can come from all kinds of ways. It can be it can be something that you're trying to do in a positive way. You're afraid to speak to a crowd or stand up in front of people or come online and and try to speak the word, and
even if you know that there's going to be some sort of good outcome to it,
right.
It can be scary.
Yeah, it can be scary. But to think that that when you go into this that it could be a bad thing, that there's going to be a sentence, at the end of that. And so for him, I don't know if you've ever had to go to court. I don't think I've ever gone to court, but I've gotten pulled over by a policeman or something like that, and you're fearful because you've messed up, Yeah,
you're sitting there, exactly what's going to happen. And
that's right. Yeah. So, there's lots of things to be fearful for, but this is the thing that I think we need to get from it, whether it's a positive fear, for something you're going to do that is positive, or if it's a fear of something, I've messed up, now I've got to face the consequences. Yeah. We have to take it all in prayer.
Yeah. We go to God with it.
I know, because he did. So what a perfect example of, don't be fearful. Be prepared to take what's coming. Yeah. And pray about it.
Yeah. And though he didn't take the cup from him, he still was with him until the very end,
Yeah, and that's the way he is with us. We just have to trust, have faith, and just be in him.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's our kind of our summary of our beginning of where we're headed today. Yeah.
So I'll open us a bit. Oh my goodness, words! I'll open us up in a little bit of prayer. Dear Lord, I thank you so much for this day. I thank you for sharing your Son with us and just giving us this amazing history to be able to learn about and to be able to read about in the Bible. And it just helps us, even though we can't fully understand what God went through, or Jesus went through, but we can pick here and there and sympathize with him. And he was, our great example of what we needed to do in the times where we are at our lowest and when we are scared. And I thank you that we can turn to you, dear God, and that even when you don't let the cup pass from us, that you are there with us. And I just pray for this time that our words are yours and not ours, and that we just get to be vessels for your message, dear God. And I pray for everyone out there that they are able to hear these words of yours and just to open up their minds and their hearts, and to really think about them, and go to you to help them just figure out what they're feeling and what they're hearing, dear God. And we thank you so much for all that you do. In your Son's holy and precious name. Amen.
Amen.
I got all teary.
Oh. Yeah. Powerful when God just lays those words on your heart,
yes.
isn't it?
Yeah.
We know that there's Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. We call them the Gospels, right? And I think there's some other words that they use to, describe them, but they're the Gospels, the good news.
Ones, yes.
They're the good news of Jesus. And for the account that we're going to talk about, even this week and next week, it's in all four of them.
Yes.
And so we're going to be looking in Mark 14, Matthew 26, making sure, Luke 22, and then John 18.
Yeah.
And
that's just where it starts, those chapters.
Yeah.
And then it goes on.
There's a lot. So don't feel like you just have to read in those chapters, because you can read on through. But they give the account of what they saw, and each one of them have. There was a word we came up with.
Eyewitness account.
Yep, account.
Yes.
The eyewitness account. So many times, when we see something, you see something, and I see something, but it's not different. It's the same event. You know what I mean? But it's something that you pulled out of it.
Exactly. And you're talking about with going to court earlier.
Oh,
Usually in court, you have when eyewitness accounts all kind of add up together, but they aren't the same story. Then that people were actually there experiencing it.
That's right.
Unless it's if it's all the same story, then it's usually a rehearsed story. They're like, okay, I got to get these details correct.
And you do that, and you do get the main point the same.
It's always
something, some other piece. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that was good. I like that. So we're going to talk about this, and it's a lot. We're gonna hit highlights.
Yes.
And just to tell you, because I think it was important to talk about, but if you were to read John 14 through 17, he talks to his disciples. Yeah. He prays for his disciples. He prays for us in the midst of that. Yes. He is giving them sort of a precursor to what is going to come.
Yes.
So, yeah, that is a great, if you have time to read that, John 14 through 17, take time maybe throughout this Easter season we're going through, but you can really hear his heart and know what he knows what he's going to go through. Yes. And the expectations and all the above. So
yeah, and he's doing his best to prepare his disciples, even though they don't fully understand. as they're listening to it now, but later on they'll look back and realize, wow, he really knew what he was going to have to go through.
Somebody said, and one of them said, he always talks in parables. We don't understand. Even the disciples were like, what?
Yes.
But so I think that in this he was very, he does use some kind of analogies. I don't know. I think that's the right word to say, but he also is very plain speaking when he's straightforward, but he wants you to understand what he's talking about.
Yes.
So, but anyway, last week he was Lord's Supper, and then he came out of the Lord's Supper, and he went to the garden.
Yeah. And he brought a few of his disciples with him, and he kept telling them, "Hey, wait here. Yeah. You guys stay here and pray and be vigilant, and lest you fall into temptation. And I'm gonna go talk to my dad real quick,
Yeah.
And I'll be right back." Yeah. And what was it? 3 times?
Yes, that was 3 times, which we know 3 times.
Three
is a big number. Numbers are important in the Bible.
Yes.
But a divine wholeness, completeness, and perfection.
Yeah, because we got the Trinity. We have how many days, we'll talk about that. How many days Jesus was in the grave.
Yeah. The 3 hours.
The 3 hours. Yeah. Oh, yes, that's right. Oh, my goodness.
There's a lot of threes. And so he goes into the garden. Yeah. He falls. Now, this is I think is so interesting, because 3 of the Gospels talk about him going into the garden and what happened. And one said He fell to his knees.
Mm-hmm.
He kneeled down. One is he kneeled down. He fell on his face, and he fell to the ground.
Yeah.
So they all said what he did. He went into the garden, and that's what happened when he fell on his face. To me, that just tells you the volume and
the intensity,
yes, of what he was going to be happening, and but all three of them said he prayed.
Yes.
So he spoke to the Father.
Yep.
During that time,
what
he
we're
spoke to the
supposed to
Father.
do, right?
That's right. That's what we're supposed to do.
Yeah, and then in Luke, the account talks about how he prayed so intensely and fervently. And then like the verse right before, at like Luke 22 verse 43, it talks about an angel coming and basically protecting him as he's praying. But then in the next verse, you get that he is sweating blood. And that is not something that normally happens. But now we have a medical term for that. It's called hematohydrosis.
Mm-hmm.
And it happens where like your blood vessels break and it goes through your sweat
pores.
Glands. Yeah. And it's only in extreme physical or emotional distress.
Wow.
I mean, I know I've been distressed before during a situation, but I have not had that happen.
That happened. No. So we know the intensity of what he knew was coming.
Yeah.
And I think the fact that he asked God, could you remove this cup from me?
Yes.
He was asking, can that be taken away? Is there another way?
Yeah.
And he knew the answer.
He did.
But he wanted to ask.
But he knew that he could ask.
But he knew he could. That's right. Can we do it differently? Is there a different way to do it?
Yeah, there's no problem with asking.
Yeah. But
knowing that ultimately God's will.
That's right. And he gave over to God's will. He said,
he did.
But not my will, but yours.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he says that in one of those verses. And so, that's, I don't know, it's an example for us, know.
It's encouraging to know that he went through such dire stress, such intense stress and everything, but he still wanted to go through with the will of God.
For us.
Yeah.
For us.
Yeah, this is all for us. This is all for not just her and I, but
that's right.
For everybody in this world. Okay, I feel like we're getting off track.
No, but I think we needed. Yeah, we are. I think we needed to say that.
Yes.
But and then he went out of the garden. Every time he went out, he asked the disciples. All right, when he left them, he said, "Please be focused. Focus, focus." And he told them to be alert.
Yeah.
To be alert. But they kept falling asleep.
Yep.
Have you ever been so sleepy you couldn't even keep your eyes open?
Oh,
it's like they roll in your head.
I want to so badly.
So badly. Well, they did.
Yeah.
They went to sleep.
Yeah.
So he checked on them. There was 3 times he went out there, and every time they were not alert. And of course, he had a conversation with them a little bit, but then he went back into the garden.
Yeah.
So anyway, that is kind of coming to where we're coming up to the cross.
Yeah. Yeah, and even in this beautiful garden, is when Jesus is betrayed.
Yeah.
We have him praying to God, and then Judas coming up with the Sanhedrin and Roman soldiers and people to arrest Jesus.
Right.
And he betrays him with, of all things, a kiss on the cheek.
Yeah.
No. To signify that is my teacher. This is the man you're looking for.
I think we have a saying over time, the kiss of death.
Oh.
And I think that's where it comes from.
Very possibly.
It must,
Yeah.
because that's what that was. That was his ultimate betrayal.
Yeah.
So there are lots of events that are in the midst of that.
Yes.
And yeah.
Yeah, I think
because at that
yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, because at that point everything moves forward. What he was so fearful of is starting to move forward. Yeah. And they take him to Caiaphas, and then they take him to Pilate, and then he goes back to Pilate.
Yep.
And then to
Herod,
here we go.
Yeah. To Pilate. Oh my goodness. And this is all happening in the late hours, early morning hours of like the night.
Yeah.
This is all Jesus hasn't slept since the night before, so
yes.
he's
and maybe before that.
Yeah, right. Who knows
You
how
know,
how
who knows
long
how
he
long.
wasn't sleeping.
Yes.
But yeah, we get to Pilate, and the second time, and he is just, I wash my hands of this.
Yeah.
You do what you guys want with him. I find no guilt in him.
Right. So I mean, they're crying out for a, a murderer to be let go instead of letting Jesus
Yeah.
go. They were so
Barabbas.
intent on it.
Yeah.
They were so intent on it. And we know that if we were to look back to Isaiah 53 and probably other spots in the Bible, there may be some references to it.
Mm-hmm.
But it's prophesied. It is told
Yeah.
that this is coming, and they still. I mean, they knew that part. You know, they passed down and
Yeah.
you know the word and the stories
just,
and they
it
just
was a
it was
wall.
like
They
a
didn't.
wall. Yeah, it was
It
like
didn't absorb.
yeah. Oh, I forgot about that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And a quick point, with Barabbas, he was a very violent man who was trying to go against the Roman government and all that. And I wonder if in their mind, because we talk about how they had their expectations
Yes.
of Jesus coming to
yeah.
overthrow. So I wonder if they were thinking, okay, this is the man that we want. We want somebody who's going to take down Rome. So we'll ask for his freedom.
He was brutal and he was ready to, yes.
He's ready to do anything.
Take over the government, overthrow. Yeah.
So I wonder if
That's
was
kind
part of their mindset.
Yeah, who knows? We weren't there, so we kind of think about that.
Yeah.
But let's talk about his road to the cross. If you've ever watched The Passion of Christ, you can watch it. I only watched it once.
Yeah.
I did watch some clips so I could share it with our Bible study group last Wednesday.
Yeah.
But he was whipped with what they call like the cat of nine tails or something like that.
Yeah.
And that's glass and shards and leather, and it ripped his flesh.
It ripped open his back. I mean, there was 39 lashes because the 40th was believed to kill.
Someone. Yeah. Someone would die at a 40th lash.
Yes, that's what they believe. So they do 39.
Oh yeah.
And yeah. Yeah.
Can't even imagine. I mean, if you've ever cut yourself with glass, it is not fun.
It's not pleasant.
It's not pleasant, and it's. In fact, I got a little cut on my thumb. I don't know how I did it, but it is the most. I mean, you can't even see it, but it's the most aggravating. Little cut there is. You know.
And he endured all of that as well as, being spat on.
Oh, I know.
Being talked down to, being told, mocking and.
Yes.
And at one point, or he was carrying the cross at one point, and then they had somebody from the crowd come and take his cross.
Yeah.
But before that, it's an open wound on his back, and it's an unsanded cross.
Yeah.
And
probably used multiple times, more than likely.
Oh.
Maybe. I don't know.
Very possibly.
Yeah. I mean, I'm.
Yeah.
But because they did that as a normality, was their crucifying. Yeah. They, before he carried his cross, they put a crown of thorns on his head. So can you imagine, if you stick yourself with a thorn, it hurts, but can you imagine just having it crammed on your head?
Yeah.
And
they
then
had stripped him down to just underwear, basically.
Yeah, maybe. I don't even know.
We assume.
We assume because I was looking in my dictionary last night, Nelson's dictionary, and they had found, I guess, uncovered, through archaeology, had found a person that had been crucified, and he was completely unclothed, and they could see how his feet, you can only push up on your feet to get air, it's bad. But he was beaten with a reed on his head. He was crucified, and people were mocking him, and even when he came to the cross and was nailed to the cross, they would just walk around and like make fun of him and say things that, why wouldn't your God take you from the cross? Why don't you cry out
just
to
call
him?
Call down your angels and have them take you away. But that wasn't the point.
That wasn't the point, because he was there
he
for
could
us.
Have. He very well could have.
Yes, because he was giving his life for um, to give us a way to have a relationship with God. We had we couldn't do it through being obedient. So no. God had a plan, because He knew this would happen. Yeah. But they had, there were, as the Bible says, there may have been others, but the Bible says there was a person on his left and on his right, right? Yeah. And the one person, when he heard all of this, he just recognized who Jesus truly was. Yeah. And he accepted him for who he was. Mm-hmm. And then
yeah, and then Jesus told him, "Today you will be with me in paradise."
That's right.
And it's a testament to how you really just have to recognize that Jesus is there to save you and to redeem you.
That's right.
And like, he was presumably not the greatest person. I mean, he could have been. He was already.
Accused, he was up there. He admitted that he was. Yeah. Oh, that's true. That's right. True. I think he admitted that he had done what he had done. I deserve this. You do not. That's what's interesting.
Oh yeah,
you
that's
do not. But I.
That,
yeah, he recognized. But then the other person on the cross, just mocked and carried on, like, and he was not going to accept who Jesus was. Yeah. So that's kind of what it is in our own life. Yeah. We have a choice. To accept him for who he is and for what he says in his word that he is here for and what he came for, or not. Yeah. Yeah. So that's kind of,
Yeah. I feel like we're pretty much at that point right before he gives up.
He gives up. Yeah.
He gives up his spirit. And
well, we have to remember too, and this is something that touches my heart every time.
Oh, yes.
I have to share this one because it is about his mom. Yeah. His mom was with him the whole way, and other women. Mm-hmm. We're doing the women of Easter, and of course it talks about more women than, the male parts of this. It's not a story. It's true life. Yeah. But it's a story. I mean, you're sharing your history.
Story.
It's a true story because the Bible is truth.
It's history.
It's history.
Story.
His story. That's true. I've heard that before. Yeah. So he looked down. I mean, she was there the whole time. She walked with him with the cross on his back. She saw everything that happened, and I know her heart was broken. But he made sure he saw her and says, "Woman, this is your son." And this is your mother. Yeah. John, this is your mother now. So
that was the only way that she was going to be able to be taken care of.
I know, but it's just the thing, Yeah. Here he cared so much about his mom.
He's enduring all of this.
And
still he cares
about his mom. Yeah. And that he cared about all of us because he was willing to take all that praying. On.
He was still saying, "Forgive them, for they know not what they do."
That's right. So there is a lot that we didn't talk about that you really, if you have the opportunity, go back and read those verses. It's in all four Gospels. It talks about, like we said, there's different ways to look at it.
Yeah, and I definitely encourage you to read all four account. Of them, so that you get the full picture. Yeah. But it just start with one and just.
Yeah, I just think that it would be this is the season to kind of do that. We don't always think about this part of the story. Yeah. After Easter. You know what I mean? Just like at Christmas, we don't think about the birth of Jesus. That's when a time we celebrate.
Yeah, that's the time when we do it.
So take this opportunity to read the Gospels and see the whole story. Recognize what he truly sacrificed and did. Yeah. Right?
Yeah. Go to God in prayer to help you just understand that too. I think.
And get the nuggets from it, because there's nuggets from all of that. So. Yeah. But we need to, number one, recognize what he did for us on the cross. It was rough.
Yes.
But we have more coming.
Yeah. We have a hope.
We have hope. Coming. There's hope in the midst of all of this. So we will bring that hope to you this next time. Yep. So with all that said, see you later.
Bye.
Bye.